Hello story lovers, welcome to Folks and Tales, your one-stop channel for stories that inspire and lessons that lasts. Munachi was the best in her class, from primary 1 to 5. As smallish as she was in her primary school days, one would believe she would not add much to her height. Being the daughter of a well-trained teacher who hails from the continent of Africa, her father, Dickie, always made sure his children came out best in all their subjects, even though they were not well-to-do. His family was admired for this credit. Dickie and his lovely wife, Nkem, gave their 3 children proper home training. None of his children was ever heard insulting anyone or involved in any immoral activity. They moved from Nigeria to a place near the Cameroonian borders, so they witnessed a lot of people trespassing into Cameroon just to have a share of some of the business opportunities. 6 years later, Munachi had completed her secondary school but could not go to university due to the parents' lack of funds. After writing the senior secondary school certificate examination and came out with 9 alphas, Munachi was confident that her entry into the university would be as simple as ever. Little did she know that lack of financial resources would stand in her way of studying the course of her choice, being medicine and surgery. This was devastating, but Munachi was hopeful that something would happen and turn things around for her family to be able to send her to the university. While others were buying forms for the university of their choice, Munachi could not buy any form due to lack of the money. Ngozi, her best friend during her secondary school days, visited her to inform her that she had bought forms for the University of Lagos and University of Benin. How are you, Munachi? I'm fine, Ngozi. And you, how are you doing? Great, my friend. I came to inform you that my parents have bought forms for 2 universities, Lagos and Benin. What about you, Munachi? Where do you want to study? Munachi knew it was not a matter of where she wanted to study, but the finance to even buy the form. She was mute for a while, then she replied, I haven't picked any. I'm still waiting for my parents to give me the go-ahead. Ngozi, her friend, was worried that she might not beat the deadline for picking the forms. Munachi, the deadline for most universities is closed. Please see to it that you pressurize your parents to get one before it's late. Nodding her head, Munachi concurred and thanked Ngozi for being so thoughtful. Munachi saw Ngozi off to the road, where she saw a group of well-dressed women move closer with sophisticated clothes, shoes, handbags, and even handsets. She had never seen anyone dressed like these women in the community. One of them pointed at Munachi, taking interest in her. Munachi watched as they paced towards her, while Ngozi watched then hurried home. Ngozi looked backwards to figure out what the strangers might have come for. What is your name, young girl? One of the strangers asked. My name is Munachi Dike, she replied. Are you from this village? They asked again. Yes, ma'am. This is my father's house, Munachi said, pointing at the house behind her. Wow, that's beautiful. Can we see your parents? They demanded. Yes, madam, but they are not in at the moment. They went to the farm. Can we wait for them to return? Or should we go and come back later? They inquired from Munachi. Well, ma'am, which do you prefer? Answered Munachi. One of them, who seemed to be the leader, replied that they would wait. Munachi went inside and brought some chairs for them to sit. They chatted while they waited for her parents. From a distance, Munachi pretended to be busy so as to get an idea of who they were or what their mission was. She overheard them talk about getting more children from the area. They also mentioned that they needed more females than males. Munachi continued pretending to sweep until she heard a very vital information that got her confused. When will our client pay us for this job? And when will the children leave for Canada? One of the women asked, lowering her voice. The leader of the group replied and said, our money is ready. All we need to do is get the required number our client requested and we'll be swimming in good money. While they continued to marry over the huge sum of money awaiting them, the parents of the young girl, Munachi, returned from the farm. Papa Munachi, are you expecting visitors today? Not at all. He replied her with surprise and inquisitiveness. As they got closer, the stranger stood up to greet the couple and allowed them to bring down the basket and firewood they were carrying on their head. Welcome, madam. Welcome, sir, the women greeted. Papa Munachi replied, admiring the quality of their dressing. Thank you. Are you looking for someone? He continued. Actually, we have been waiting for you for almost an hour now. Your daughter told us you went to the farm, so we decided to wait for your return, the leader said. Munachi's mother caught the husband and asked the women, what might be the reason that you have been waiting for us? I don't think we have anything that people like you might want. Please check very well if you are at the right place, she concluded by showing the women the compound as she swung her hand across the premises, reminding the women that they were poor. Munachi, who has been listening from the corner of the house behind the big pillar, came out to welcome her parents. She collected the cutlass whole from their hands and sent them inside and came to feed her ears. The women staring at Munachi as a way of telling her parents that Munachi was the reason for their wait. Then turned to the couple and explained, actually, your daughter is the reason for our coming. Our daughter? The couple said, looking at each other. Yes, she's beautiful and smart. She also looks intelligent. They introduced themselves by mentioning their names and indicating the tallest woman to be their leader. We are members of the Women Organization of West Africa. Our branch is in Cameroon here. Our major goal is to scout for children like your daughter who are intelligent and well-behaved for scholarships abroad, precisely Canada. All expenses will be paid by the organization, the leader further explained. Please, come inside my veranda. This place is not good for a discussion like this. As you can see, we just returned from the farm. Give us a few minutes to change into something better while you make yourselves comfortable at the veranda. My daughter will give you some cola, Dike said. The women did as Munachi's father demanded. In a few minutes, Munachi brought some biscuits and granite on a tray to entertain the guests. It was not also long before Munachi's parents came out in better clothes after freshening up. They sat with the women and asked the women to repeat the reason for their coming. The women said the same thing over again and added that Munachi has been selected as one of the beneficiaries for this wonderful opportunity. Munachi's parents were astonished to hear this. They felt like jumping, but they knew better than not to do so in the woman's presence. Thank you so much for selecting my daughter. But how did she meet your criteria when you didn't even know her? Munachi's father asked. The women looked at each other, thinking of an answer because they were not quite expecting the question. Sir, from the way your daughter received us when we arrived here, and the manner she responded to the questions we asked her, gave us no reason to doubt that she was a good candidate for this program. I believe she has good results too. She will get herself ready and go with us to the office to fill some forms, and in 3 days she will be joining the others to Canada to study the course of her choice. They further explained. This is wonderful. I thank you all for coming and choosing my own Munachi as one of the beneficiaries. My wife and I are grateful to the Women Organization of West Africa for this initiative, Munachi's father said, expressing his joy as if giving a vote of thanks. Our siblings at my maternal home, they will be very happy to hear this. I hear that people in big cities have telephones. What about you people? Do you have telephones so I can keep your numbers? He asked. One of the women responded, of course we do. Let me write it out for you. You can reach us on these lines at any time. Munachi was asked to change so as to join them to the office to conclude the paperwork. Munachi's mother used the opportunity to follow her daughter into the house to congratulate her on this wonderful privilege the organization accorded her. Munachi, my daughter, we will miss you when you travel. You have heard the women. You were selected to go to Canada, if I'm correct. Be a good girl, oh. Remember all we have taught you. Make sure you try to reach us from time to time through these women, okay? Her mother said with joy and sadness at the same time. Her father, who came to check what was delaying his daughter from hurrying up, overheard his wife and said to her, the journey is in 3 days, woman. This is only time for paperwork. Did you not go to school? The woman said, paperwork. Your advice can come when she returns from the office today. Huh? You are wasting their time. And for your information, it's not Canada, it's Canada. He took his daughter by the hand and went to present her to the women. The office was 3 hours from Munachi's house, but Munachi's father wondered why your parent was not allowed to join the child to the office. He only thought it in his mind, but never asked. Munachi's mother had the same thought, but concluded that since her husband did not ask, there was no need for her to ask either. As ready as Munachi was, her parents still believed that she was not presentable in the clothes she wore. But it was too late. The women took Munachi and left, waving their hands goodbye. Munachi bidded her parents goodbye. Her mother remembered that she did not even ask her daughter if she had eaten. The joy of the news overtook her sense of reasoning. She untied her upper wrapper, which was knotted with some money in it. She took out some coins and ran to Munachi, placing the money in her hands. My daughter, use this and buy yourself some snacks if you are hungry, okay? The women turned and laughed, explaining to her that there was no need for that and that the organization takes care of everything, including their feeding. But Munachi's mother insisted. It was late and Munachi was not yet back from the office. Her parents waited impatiently until they saw someone from afar with an adult. It was Munachi and one of the women. as we discussed. Sorry it's late. There was traffic in the major city. Please don't be angry," the woman explained. Munachi's parents thanked the woman for bringing her back safe, but wondered where the woman will pass the night. The woman explained that she could still get a vehicle to take her back to the city that night, though she will arrive very late, but not to worry. As the woman left, Munachi's parents asked her all sorts of questions at the same time. She did not know which one to answer first, but she took the questions one by one. She couldn't sleep that night, wondering what life would be like in Canada. She couldn't wait for the day to break so that she could break the news to her friend. As Munachi was dreaming of Canada, her parents were carried away in their fantasy also, dreaming of their daughter in a paradise which seemed to them to be the Canada. This gave the family hope and pride to lift their heads up among their equals. The next morning, she quickly ran to her friend Ngozi to tell her of the news. Ngozi was so happy, but wondered why only Munachi was picked when both of them were there when strangers first came. Ngozi spread the news as she got to the stream that morning. The young girls and boys were happy for Munachi and her family. The third day had come for Munachi to travel. She prepared all her necessary belongings for the journey. Very early on the journey day, the leader of the women group sent a representative to pick Munachi, who had packed her bag. As the staff arrived at Munachi's house and she saw the bag Munachi had kept to leave with, she asked Munachi to send the bag back into the house, that nothing was required for the journey. Everything needed was ready for her at the office. The woman brought out a very beautiful gown from her bag and gave Munachi to change up. Her parents watched in gladness. As the young girl came out wearing the gown, she looked totally different. The gown had changed Munachi's status immediately. Looking at her, one would think she came from the city. The woman thanked Munachi's parents for accepting the offer and begged to leave. Munachi hugged her parents and left with the woman, waving non-stop. "Remember all we have taught you, my child," her father shouted as his daughter nodded her head in response. As Munachi walked with the woman, her step changed into a majestic one. She heard voices shouting her name. It was Ngozi, her friend, and other girls of her age, all waving her to stop. They wanted to congratulate her and bid her bye. Munachi turned and saw the girls. She stopped and asked the woman to give her a minute. The girls raced and hugged Munachi one after the other, telling her to remember them whenever she got to Canada. She thanked them for being so thoughtful and kind. She promised she would reach them through her parents. Getting to the organization, it was paradise for Munachi. She had never seen such a beautiful place in her entire life. A well-furnished office with AC, which made Munachi wonder what gave the cooling effect in the office. The first time she came to the office, 3 days back, she didn't enter the office, but waited outside for her height and names to be taken. This time she was taken inside and asked to wait for further instructions. She could not believe all this was happening to her. She would finally get to study medicine and surgery and become the best surgeon Cameroon had ever produced. Munachi was later shown a place where she would be staying until the travel papers were completed. It was a hotel filled with other beneficiaries of the scholarship scheme. The girls looked simple and some of them so naive. As she was taken into one of the rooms, the woman in charge of the hotel section introduced Munachi to some girls in the room. "This will be your room," she said, turning to Munachi. "Make yourself comfortable and get acquainted with your roommate until further instructions. As soon as Munachi settled down, one of the inmates asked her, "Are you here for the same reason?" Munachi replied that she gets to, but she believed all of them were there for the scholarship. The organization sent a staff to tell the children that their visas were ready. Their high network connection made it easy for them to prepare their passports and visa in short time. "Not all of you will be going to Canada," she said. Munachi got a bit confused because the information given to her parents was that the scholarship for all the beneficiaries was to study in Canada. She didn't let it bother her much. They were informed on the departure date, as all the beneficiaries were given their passports to carefully put in their bags. Departure was in a week's time. Some of them did not get to see each other again after they left Cameroon by road. Munachi looked out for some faces she met at the hotel, but could not find some of them. She summoned courage to ask one of the staff who joined them. The lady said that some beneficiaries were sent to the United States of America. Munachi felt relieved. But what confused her a bit was why their passports were collected from them at the departure point. They drove for about 2 hours. When they got to a place that looked like an outskirt of the town, the staff who brought them came down from the big bus and walked towards another vehicle that perhaps had been waiting for them. The vehicle looked old, more like a truck, with only one window on each side. She hoped that wasn't where they were going to be asked to enter. A man came down from the truck and spoke to the female staff. She observed that they whispered and made gestures. Not quite few minutes later, the woman left without telling them a word. 2 other fierce-looking men came out from the truck and started beating Munachi and the others. Nobody could explain why this was happening. They made them remove their clothes and change their legs. The children shouted, but the men were so mean. They counted them and pushed them into the vehicle. The vehicle was so hot inside. They were packed like sardines and many began to cry. The men threatened anyone who cried or made a noise. The door of the truck was locked and the 2 men with the driver were all at the front seats. The truck moved. Nowhere for any children to sit. Munachi couldn't understand what was happening. This was not what they promised her parents. She thought of what to do, but nothing could be done for now, she said to herself. She and others who had changed on their feet. She wept inside her heart, conceiving that her parents had been deceived. The vehicle went through what she believed to be a bumpy road. She and the others fell occasionally as the driver drove as if he was given a target time. After the first and second fall, Munachi struggled to get to the window on the left side of the vehicle. She wanted a good view so she could observe the outside world. She put her face to the window to get some fresh air. She observed that the air was dusty and there were no houses nor trees. She told herself that this type of empty space could only be likened to one type of environment, the desert. They rode for hours. It was like a prison for children. The sun began to set and darkness approached the desert until they could not see each other again in the truck. A boy shouted for the man in front of the vehicle to give him some water, that he was thirsty. But the poor boy was ignored. The second day, they got to a place where another vehicle was waiting for them. They were transferred in a big hurry. The men discovered that some of the children were ill with fever. Munachi was terrified when 3 sick ones were left in the middle of the desert to die. The men abandoned the children there and left. The first truck went back while the new one continued the journey. After another 3 days without food and water, 2 boys died in the truck of hunger and starvation. When the men were told, they stopped the vehicle, came down and threw the dead bodies of the young boys out of the vehicle. At this point, the rest told themselves they needed to be strong. Munachi tried as much as possible to survive. She avoided the men guarding them. Finally, on the 15th day, they reached what seemed to be their destination. It was late in the night. She noticed that some women came to check on them with big torchlights. They brought some clothes for them to change into and took them into a place that looked like a hotel. "Excuse me, madam," Munachi said, raising her hands, beckoning on one of them. "Please, is this Canada?" The women looked at each other and laughed in mockery, trying very hard not to be seen by their bosses. One of them replied, "Canada, my foot." Munachi knew she was doomed. It was all deceit. These people took advantage of my parents' ignorance, she said to herself, but this time aloud. All the children were too scared to speak up. Everyone was on their own. The next day, the male children were taken away while the female children remained together. They were all given new clothes to put on. These clothes depicted immorality. It showed their body parts, especially their bust region. They were led to different hotel rooms to sleep with men who paid for the services directly to the owner of the business. On the first day, the girls cried out. Munachi shared her ordeal with Tonto, one of the girls. "I have lost my virginity today. I am finished. My mother will kill herself hearing this." "Stop, Munachi. We must be strong. Remember, these people do not deal with weak children. Only the strong survive here, and you know it." She took her mouth close to Munachi's ears and said, "We must find a way to escape from here." Munachi's eyes opened wide. "Tonto, are you out of your mind? These people have technology that watch us day and night. We'll be caught." "Not if we have a good plan. 10 days, Munachi. 10 days. We must come up with a good plan in 10 days," said Tonto. "So go and think." "Are you saying we will keep sleeping with his grandfathers for more 10 days? Munachi asked Tonto. "Do you have a better idea?" Her friend replied. Tonto believed that there must be a way out. 5 days had passed when Tonto asked her client to tell her about life here in the city. The client said it was not part of the rules and that he was not allowed to discuss such. Tonto talked him into the discussion, and within an eye twinkle, Tonto knew that they were in Lagos. She got a lot of information from the man, who started liking her naturally. The man started buying her personal gift as he made the request to the workers to allow Tonto to be his only customer. The organization said he had to pay more for this, which he accepted. Within 2 weeks, Tonto confided in this man, though at certain times she would be skeptical that the man would betray her. If this ever happened, then she knew she would be in deep trouble. However, she followed her heart. "Me and my friends were all deceived," said Tonto. "Almost all of us were virgins. I have to find a way to leave this place," she told the man. The man picked interest in Tonto, but he didn't tell her he would help her just to cover his tracks. Every day he slipped notes into her purse, and the third day he slipped some money into her bag too. Each note meant something. Each note was an escape route, but Tonto did not understand. Tonto called Munachi one night. Come and see these notes. What can you make out of them? She asked Munachi. Munachi looked closely at them one after the other as she read the inscriptions. Ground floor, the bar, and finally the shelf. The two girls pondered on the meanings and gave up. They could not make anything out of the notes. One night, after their routine job, Munachi told Tonto, "Let's go out and check the ground floor when everyone is asleep. Maybe we can find something." "You're right, Munachi. 12 midnight, we will be there. I will bring the notes along." The girls waited for 12 midnight, but it seemed like days. Finally, the clock struck 12. The two friends screamed from their rooms downstairs. At the ground floor was a big hall used for parties. By the right was a bar. The third note was not easy to decode, but Munachi, being so intelligent, tiptoed to the bar where the shelf was and stared at it looking for clues. As she leaned on the shelf, she mistakenly pressed the button. The shelf pushed forward by mistake and opened itself. "Good job, Munachi," Tonto whispered. The girls passed through the door to see what next was there. To their greatest surprise, it was a passage to the outside wall, but security was everywhere. "There's no way we won't get caught," Munachi reminded Tonto. "We have to think of something." As the guards gathered to discuss, the girls used the opportunity to go through the passage which led to the outside world. As soon as they got out, they found a place to disguise in simple clothes, which Tonto hid in her bag since they planned it all out. Right by the corner of the building, the girls changed at once and took a cab, waiting at the parking space in the premises. Tonto asked the driver how they could get to a smaller hotel. The driver took them somewhere safe and they rested the night. Tonto didn't want to involve the police. The money the man slipped into her bag was more than enough to get them home. "I think we should inform the police about this illegal business," said Tonto. "Let us stay out of it. We are safe now. Let's look for how to get home," Tonto replied. Later on, Munachi was able to convince Tonto, and they used the cab to find the nearest police station. On reaching there, their report was given, and the police told the girls that they will take them to their homes, but they had to stay a few days for investigation. The police located the site where the other children were kept for prostitution and club work. They arrested all those involved in child trafficking and child abuse under the Child Protection Law. The building was seized by the police. It was now time for the long journey home. After describing their villages in Cameroon, the police helped them locate their homes as they traveled back to Cameroon. Tonto's village was the neighboring village, so after locating Munachi's house, the police took Tonto home too. Munachi's parents cried and cried. They thought of what their daughter passed through and how horrible it was. They learned a lesson out of their ignorance, never to let anyone deceive them again due to poverty and ignorance. Additionally, not everything that glittered is gold. The packaging of the scholarship to Canada was hell in disguise. How about you? What lessons have you learned from this story? Thanks for watching, story lovers. Again, this is Folks and Tales. If you enjoyed this story, please give this video a big thumbs up. Comment and share this video to other story lovers. Also, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so that you will be notified whenever we upload a video. We'll be uploading intriguing and captivating stories multiple times per week. You don't want to miss them. Until my next one, peace and love.